Hello and welcome to level 155 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, the gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. I am Jeremy, here with my compadre, David.
What up?
David, how's your evening been today?
It is going great, and I will tell
Nice.
you why.
Please.
I have preloaded Resident Evil Requiem.
Here we go. There we go. You've got it preloaded, ready to go. Are you
I
planning to hop into
I
it tonight?
yes, it says when I started downloading it that it will go live in approximately 3 hours. That was at like 8:30. So,
Okay. 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 So you got a little bit of a wait, but it'll be ready for you by the
yeah.
time. Yeah.
But finish this, maybe play a game or two of Fragpunk, and then
Right.
boom, right on there.
Jumping
How,
right
how,
into it.
how's your day going?
Not nearly as much excitement as that when you have a great brand new game that you just can't wait to get into. Um, but it's going all right. It's going all right. Yeah.
Good.
I've been trying to, I've been doing some. I'm getting that itch. That you get that itch where you're like, I just want to buy a new game. I just want a new game, and I don't know
That's
what.
yeah, that's kind of how I
It's
I went about it.
I mean, it's not a great place to be in if you don't have a focus. Like, you don't know
Oh
exactly what you
yeah.
want. You're
Oh
just like, I
yeah.
want something. That's when you're like, hey, idiot, go play your backlog. Like, that's when you try to direct yourself. Yeah.
Try.
Ladies and gentlemen, chickens, ducks, and hens. Welcome into this level of the pod, level 155. We've got a interesting, bigly, some would say, topic for this episode pertaining to games and the gaming industry that we're going to get into and have I think, pretty interesting conversation about. Um,
Hmm.
but before we go there, we're going to start where we always start, and that is talking about the games that we are playing. So, who wants to start this? I can start this. I've got one
Go
game,
ahead.
but if you want to go, okay.
Ooh, okay.
Um, I've got one game, and
Is it what it's been?
yes, it's been what it's
Yeah.
been. And here's the thing: I'm upset about it, but I
Hmm.
also can't stop thinking about it. And that game is Farming Simulator 25.
Yeah. Hmm.
I can't stop thinking about this game, no matter how much I don't want to. All I do is just think about, man, I got to come up with what's this strategy to get this type of crop going? What's the strategy to get this type of crop going? Recently, I had an issue where I got mad because, they have downloadable content and people make mods for the games, tons of mods. It has a great modding community. Um, and they also create like these maps, like they create different new maps. The game ships, I think, with three, and there's other ones that you can get that are part of their official DLCs. But there's
Oh.
also other maps that people mod. So they mod North American maps, then they mod European maps as well, and they correspond to different places. So there's like a mod for Texas, and there's actually a mod there for, I believe it's Overton, Michigan. So it's like, oh, this is really cool. But then I got mad because when you jump into these maps, they start you off. They give you a starter farm, and I don't want that because I've talked multiple times about how I love I started with nothing and a chainsaw or nothing in a shoe, and I
Hmm.
built this whole thing. So I don't want to start with don't start me off with $100,000 tractor. That's not fair, right? Um,
Right.
so I've been trying to like find the right map and play that the right way, different stuff like that. But yeah, as much as I don't want to be playing this game, I find myself playing it still. Um, I do I am I'm I'm migrating. I'm migrating towards a different game. I think I have a feeling. One game that I'm actually holding off on buying that I said I was going to buy
Hmm.
was the DLC for Dynasty Warriors
Really?
Origins.
Okay.
I'm holding off on it because from what I've read, it's about 10 hours of additional content,
Hmm.
which is fine, but the DLC is $35, which is on the higher
Ooh.
end of DLC.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wait for it to go on sale, maybe hover around that $20 to even if it's 25, and then I'll
Mhm.
probably snag it then. But at 35, that's a little rich for my blood. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
definitely.
So I've kind of held off on that. So I'm kind of like, man, what should I? That was going to be the game that I went to, that I pivoted to. You
Hmm.
know, that was going to bring me out of the desert and into the promised land, into the land of milk and honey. And it has not, and it's just not going to be the case. So I've got to figure out where I'm going to go from there. But in the interim, I got Farming Simulator 25.
All right. With I got a question. With the
Yeah.
Dynasty Warriors,
Mhm.
do you think there's going to be other DLCs coming out?
I don't know.
'Cause
Um,
I feel like there's going to be like Gold Edition in like 2 years or something.
yeah, they might do like a collector's or like something that packages up that DLC or something else. I don't know, because the Visions of the Four Heroes explores the four heroes. If I wanted to be more cynical but also provide more value from a Koei Tecmo standpoint, I would have maybe provided more story but chopped those up. So maybe you just do two instead of all four.
Right.
So maybe I give you the story of what would have happened if you took the side of Zheng Zhao and Dong Zhou and won, and then what if you took the side of I forgot the other one. I don't think it was Zheng Liang, but I forgot the other one. Or was it one? I forgot. It was Lu Bu and then someone else, the other person. Um,
Okay.
what if I slice it up that way, give you 10 hours of each? That gives each of them more time for their story. It feels a little bit more appropriate because it's a 30 some odd hour game. So in the original, you explore, you go with Liu Bei and Xiao Cao and man, I keep blanking on their names, but the Sun clan, I'll just say that because I forgot
Hmm.
specifically who it is right now. But the original game's like 30 hours, so technically you kind of spend 10, almost 10-ish hours with each clan in the original.
Hmm.
But then you give me a DLC where I spend 10 hours with four individuals. Like that makes
Right.
it's, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, um, yeah. So I think, but that's a possibility. We don't know. They introduced some kind of strategic elements from what I was reading, which leads me to believe that they may be an Empire's version in the works of this. And if
Okay.
there is, homie is buying it.
That's
No questions asked. No questions asked. But yeah, so it's a possibility. I think it's a strong possibility. They always do a complete edition or a something edition of those Dynasty Warrior games.
okay. Good to know. I
Yeah.
might just wait and just get it when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I would wait. Even if it's just the base game, if it goes on sale for like 30, and I'm sure it'll hit 30 at some times, it's a steal. Especially if you love those games and you love the
That's what I
story of
was thinking.
the three kingdoms. It's a steal. But
All right.
that's been it for me. Though I've been talking mostly about Dynasty Warriors, it's been Farming Simulator
It's
25.
let's see. For me, it's been a lot of frag punk, man.
Yeah.
I'm hard in the paint in this game. I got up to rank 2 with Sonar, the character that I play.
Hmm.
I'm down to 5 now. People seem to have jumped on her and it's just doing some work. I was playing with rank 1 today. 2 games they were facing me, and 1 game they were on my team. So I'm like, I'm
Mm,
getting like up there. I'm Masters 1.
yeah.
I'm hoping I can break out and get to Ace.
Yeah.
I was 1 game off last season and then proceeded to lose a lot. Never got back up there. So
Yeah.
hopefully I can get there. Um, yeah, I got 1 game too. Like I'll throw in a rival game. Like I played 1 game today and it was just unappealing.
Yeah.
I don't know how I put 800 hours into it and now I'm just like, eh.
You just can't get into. I feel you, man. There's like it's sometimes it's weird where you're like, oh, this game has got me. I can't like. Remember, I was telling you before that it wasn't at one point. I wasn't just putting a lot of time into Farming Simulator. I was putting a lot of time into Fabledom. I think I'd actually put as much, if not more, time into Fabledom. And I have not. I think about it, but I haven't had the urge to just go back.
Hmm.
I keep wanting to replay and restart farms and Farming Simulator. That's all I keep doing. So uh but yeah, I understand. I know what you're like when you're like I was deep in this game. I have this many hours in it, and now like I don't even get it. I don't forget how I even got to these many hours in some games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get the urge again someday. Who knows? Probably
Yeah.
when another character comes out, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. But who knows when that's gonna happen?
Do you ever think that you'll make a return to the finals, which had dominated your playlist for a while there?
Honestly, I forget that it even exists. Like it's even further down the hole. I
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, it was a fun game. I don't know what happened, honestly. I guess I got bored if I had to guess an answer, but I don't
Or
know.
Frag Punk just kind of scratches the itch better, you know?
Maybe it's
Yeah.
a lot less movementy, you know.
Hmm.
I guess I'm getting old. I need less things to focus on.
I feel you. Oh, I feel you there. Oh yeah. That's been one of the main issues I've kind of had with Farming Simulator. That was also one of the issues I was having with, which I think it's not the reason I haven't gone back to it. I don't know, but also Medieval Dynasty was that sometimes reading the text, I'm like, man, it's harder to
Mhm.
read this stuff now than it was before. Yeah, that always sucks. But you'd say that it's basically just been Frag Punk, and then
Yeah,
every once in a while
yeah.
you interrupted yourself with a Marvel Rivals match, but
Exactly. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
at 288 hours on Fright Punk already.
nice, nice.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
that's the games we've been playing. The same old
yeah.
games. I've been trying to escape my game for weeks, and I don't know why I'm not doing it. I'm gonna try to make myself do it. Um, well then, with our games out the way, it's time for us to talk about the main subject, the main topic of the show. Um, so there was a shakeup. There's been a massive shakeup at one of gaming's, I don't know, premier companies.
Oh
That
no.
being the once illustrious but quickly fading Xbox, Microsoft Xbox. It was recently announced that Phil Spencer, who has been heading the Xbox division for Microsoft, is retiring. I believe we're recording this in February, into February this month. Um, Even though
Yeah.
they said that as I was reading some articles that said that he had started preparing last year, perhaps to do it. Um, but this month, suddenly he's out. Also out, Sarah Bond, who's kind of basically been the second in command there in many respects, has kind of been honestly, people felt like she was the one being groomed to take Phil Spencer's place. Inevitably, when he left or when he got booted, she is also out. Um, and instead, put in the place, Microsoft has tapped the shoulder of, and I have it right here because I pulled up um the article, even though now the article disappeared. This is great. What is her name? Trying to find it.
Asha
Uh,
Sharma?
yes, Asha Sharma, who is one of originally, like, she worked in Microsoft's AI division. She was one of the higher ups in Microsoft's AI division. She is stepping in to helm Xbox, and Matt Booty, who has been there to help basically helm Xbox Game Studios, I believe. He has been promoted to chief creative or chief content officer there. So those two are the ones that have kind of been put in at the helm of Xbox. Um, there's a lot of kind of surprise and shock with all of this, of well, like what's going on, how is this happening, and the sentiment, I believe, from people who are invested in this company or people that are kind of like observing it from the outside is like, oh, oh no, this isn't good. Um, the I would, if you had to ask me what I thought Phil Spencer's kind of time at Xbox, helming Xbox, what that looked like, I would say that it started out with a lot of promise that floundered fairly quickly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
If people remember that Phil Spencer took over for Major Nelson after he had headed Xbox, with a disastrous Xbox One reveal where they're like, "Hey, you can watch TV through your Xbox," and everyone's like, "I thought this was a video game console," and he was like, "Well, shut up a little," and
Trying
and
to show you
from
things you
there,
don't care about.
yeah, and from there they have been behind. Phil Spencer said in a interview, I believe last year, that Xbox lost the console war with the Xbox One. And I, by and large, agree with that. That's not something you want to hear the helm of Xbox say about the brand they're supposed to be bringing and strengthening and making the epitome of gaming. But
Right.
from a honest transparency perspective, he is not wrong. Um, and a lot of people feel that this is the sign that Xbox is further in free fall. They're further falling from the pedestal they once stood upon, as far as being, just very well respected in the gaming sphere, at least by gamers. Um, and so it's kind of interesting to see that reaction. You bring in Asha Sharma, and she comes from AI, so there's a lot of concern about, AI slop's going to get in our video games. Now we've been seeing more and more instances of AI slop getting into video games, not only from major publishers, but also from, I would say, like more double A level developers and
Right. Like
publishers.
not indie, but like
Yeah, like not quite
up a
triple
step.
A, but definitely more than indie. Like we've been seeing that stuff kind of get into games a little bit more than like, well, this person did that. I think there was one thing at one point people were contact like stalking her Xbox gamer profile, this because they saw that she had a new profile created and it just started all of a sudden having these games populated, and then she had to come out and say, "Hey, this is weird. I mostly played Xbox with my family, so I have a family profile," and a bunch of other weird stuff like that, where like gamers have to like, it's like an initiation thing. Like we have to validate it. It's almost like a thing like, "Are you really a crip? Like, are you really a crip?" And it's like she doesn't she doesn't need to be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, I mean, Xbox was launched by Microsoft and Bill Gates. I mean, Bill Gates literally launched Microsoft and then went and chased an underage girl. I mean, that's what was happening. Do you think this guy was sitting there playing games? I think it's okay if they aren't super super into gaming, as long as they understand the gaming culture and what we expect and how the business and things works.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but it's not something that instills a lot of confidence in me. Matt Booty has been heading up Xbox Game Studios, and we felt like last year they were kind of catching. They were kind of like catching. Remember, they had that spree when they released like, well, I think it was, yeah, right. It was like Expedition 33 came on Game Pass, and then they shadow dropped Oblivion Remastered, and they had
Hmm.
like three or four. Then they had Doom: The Dark Ages. Like they had like three or four or five games, like larger games per month that were dropping, and we're like, oh, Xbox is finally catching up, finally getting it to go. Um, and then they just couldn't stay consistent with it, and a bunch of other things have happened. Um,
Yeah.
but this is, at least as far as what I've seen so far, it has been met with pretty much like, show me, which I think is the appropriate response for mostly things in general, right? Like prove it
Yes.
to me,
Yes.
like show it to me, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Like the the biggest thing, like you said, is, she's coming from the AI division, so it's like great. But I read some comments like on Reddit because people were talking about it and stuff, and apparently she was successful at Meta and Instacart. They didn't say
yeah.
how long she was there, but she said that they did very well
Hmm.
at those companies. So maybe this is a push in the right direction as long as she doesn't use AI for everything, or maybe even like
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
you know? I think that's why
Yeah.
so many people are worried about it. But
Which is fair.
also, like you said, as long as she has an understanding of where we as a society, the gaming society, is like looking for,
Hmm.
you know, we'll see what the chance she is given does for us as a society.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's fair for a couple of things, like the fear about she's just going to incorporate or bring in a bunch of AI. The one point is yes. I don't think that's specific to her philosophy. I think that's specific to Microsoft's philosophy, and she's one of the people that is able to make that happen. Right? She has the
Right.
acumen and the understanding of it. But that's a Microsoft edict, right? When you think about how all of a sudden your Windows has Copilot and there's Copilot and stuff you didn't even ask for. That's Microsoft wanting to do that, right? Microsoft is betting big on AI. So if the concern is well she's going to incorporate AI, I would respond with no bleep. I don't think the question is if she's going to, it's how much and how well will it be executed and thought out, right?
Right.
Um,
And
I know that one of the things she talked about it, maybe her and Matt had talked about was like this thing of like the return to Xbox, the return, right? For a while it was Xbox anywhere, everywhere, and now it's like the return to Xbox, the return to the box. Um, and I understand it. That's not a good sign to me at first. That to me sounds stupid because
right.
no one else, Nintendo's not like the return to the NES, the return to the 64. Like none of that's happening, right? Because the certain things that made them successful then and successful now is innate to the spirit and the culture of the company.
Yeah, it's two different worlds too,
Yeah,
Like it worked 30 years ago, it's not gonna work now type situation.
right. Like 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 that's a specific thing. Like, what do you mean the return to Xbox? Like, what does that mean? Because again, like Nintendo's a perfect example. Like Nintendo has by and large kept its culture and philosophy. That's why Nintendo was successful 30 years ago and they're successful now. Microsoft or Xbox doesn't have that. There's a lot of bureaucracy. There's a lot of different things that are happening there with Microsoft. So I don't think the Xbox culture is there. I don't see it in anything now. When you do other some of the decisions that you've made and some of the decisions they're considering and different things they've made, it doesn't feel like that's there. So how are you going to recapture the spirit of the Xbox Halo 2 days? Or like what does that look like and feel like? You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah, exactly.
and how are you going to get us there? Like what does that mean specifically? Because like we need understanding of what that vision looks like. And right now it's just kind of a lot of, hey guys, don't panic. You know what I'm saying? I think of the South Park meme of like member berries. I'm not sure if you ever heard about this, like if you remember this, but they had a thing of like kind of a play on like how companies give you member berries. They sell you nostalgia. And people would buy these blueberries that were member berries, and then the member berries would be like, "Hey, do you guys remember Rocky? You guys remember, right?" And people bought these berries because it made them remember the good days, right? And I feel like that's all this is. They're just trying to sell member berries, but it's not the same. It's going to be different. We need to know, and it's okay if it changes, but there needs to be a thought about what's changing, why it's changing, what is it changing to, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hear that one. I
It's
I
a
haven't watched South Park in a
yeah.
while, but I still like hear about the episodes and things.
Yeah, and I think
I
this
didn't.
is like that's an older meme. That's like a 2015, 2016 rip
Mhm.
of like that certain thing that South Park was doing. But I always kind of think of that sometimes when I hear like any company that's like trying to sell nostalgia, trying to commoditize nostalgia as a way to get people to get invested and buy whatever they're trying to sell, right? It's like, that's usually false hope. It's usually false. It's not really something that's real, right? Um, so like it's what is it? The hope is that I don't know if that thought is if the return to Xbox means we're returning to really thinking about the gamer, then I mean, why did you forget them in the first place? They're the people that buy your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I I know the Xbox is what, started it all. But why jump to the Xbox when you can jump back to the 360? I feel like that was a lot better of an era.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's the other thing too. That may be what they're doing. I think I read some article where there were they were again messing with like you could possibly change the UI to be the Blades UI from the 360.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, dumb. Okay, what does that do? Like, you're just you're you're doing 4K textures for a dated UI. How is that improving the experience that you have here, and how are you keeping up with other people and what they're doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Exactly.
it's really weird that they're struggling this much with the fact that, at least in my personal opinion, by and large, the PlayStation 5 hasn't lived up to its hype. The PlayStation 5 is basically a PS4 upres to me in a lot of ways. So this was a generation where you had an opportunity to make something, but you started off the gate weird and you did all these things. And kind of reading through again some reactions, I think a lot of people, when they think back on Phil Spencer's kind of time there, the biggest thing is going to be that billion-dollar acquisition of Bethesda and then of Activision, right? Like, those are kind of the hallmark moves that he made there. And those moves they're still trying to find some ways to really monetize those moves. And it's like, I don't understand how you buy $80 billion worth of things and not have a vision of how you're going to use the $80 billion
Yeah.
worth of
And
things.
like, and even if you just buy them to own them and still let them do like whatever, like there's obviously a reason you spent billions of dollars on a company.
Yeah,
You're not gonna buy. No one's gonna buy us for $80 billion. We're not that up there yet.
not yet.
Like not yet. But
Operative
like
word yet. Yeah.
you're putting your money where your mouth is in a way, but then you're just taking everything that it was, and now you have nothing again. What was the point of that?
Yeah. That is and there's a lot of people that are saying, well, they're planning to do this and they're planning to do that and they're planning to do this. Well, I think that acquisition happened like 18 months ago, maybe more, and they haven't really done much with it. So that's the thing I'm trying to figure out. Like, okay, what is the plan with all this money that you spent on these things? What is the plan, right? What can it help
Right.
bring you? Was maybe the thought of Bethesda with Starfield's going to be this huge IP. I can maybe see some thought in that process, right? This is going to print money for us. This is Bethesda's first brand new IP in years. This is going to print us billions of dollars, right? And then they give you a poop sandwich, right? So you're like, I don't know what to do with this, right? So now the hope is, well, no, it's going to be the Elder Scrolls 6, and of course that's going to print money. It's Elder Scrolls, but still, it's just a matter of like, what are you going to do with a lot of these? A lot of these choices seem like they weren't fully thought out when they were made, right? So now you have someone else that's having to step in, and hopefully, I mean, there's some talk about some people view her as like essentially like a babysitter, like, let's just keep it where it is. And then there was one thing I wanted to get to with this kind of interview that was done with Seamus Blackley, who was the co-founder of Xbox. Um,
Okay.
and he kind of believes or is warning that, well, actually what this move signals to me is that Microsoft is planning to sunset Xbox. Like, they're
Oh.
beginning to, we had here, like, just reading through some of this, that and this is an article, let's see here, from Fine Articles by Gregory Zuckerman, that he's arguing that the leadership shifts and an all-in push on artificial intelligence point to a sunset scenario rather than a reinvention. And he points out the longtime Xbox leader Phil Spencer, the appointment of Asha Sharma, who has Microsoft's core AI division to steer gaming business, is going to is basically signaling a mandate to protect the value while the company focuses elsewhere. So more caretaker than change agent. So that's one theory that the
Got it. Okay.
co-founder of Xbox has in their current moves. And I think
Right.
he's kind of tapping into a little bit of fears of a lot of Xbox fans out there. We've kind of talked about before, because most of our coverage and discussions of Xbox on this podcast historically have not been very positive. I will say that our podcast,
Correct.
our podcast started in 2020, and Xbox by and large has not done a lot of positive things since we started our podcast. So that's kind
No.
of where we are. I mean, look, if our podcast started in 2001, you'd be thinking that we're freaking Xbox fanboys, right? Because they were kicking it, but that's not what was happening. They were naming their consoles Series S and Series X and confusing the hell out of us. That's what they were doing. You know,
like, what is that?
it's
What is that?
Here's what I would love. I would love for whatever this next system is going to be, that they just outsource the naming. I don't want them doing anything with naming the console.
Make it a contest, most voted,
and
it's gonna be something so stupid, but it's gonna be better than Series X.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think because there was kind of like a meme, going around, but I'm trying to think. So yeah, looking at this with the Series X, I'm pulling this up because if you remember, do you remember what the code name for the Series X was? So this is the meme though.
I don't.
Like all of the Xbox code names were better than the eventual names of the consoles. So if you remember, I believe that that the code name for the Series X was Project Scorpio. I think that was the code name for it.
I mean, you're right. That's better.
Exponentially better. And I mean, like, if you're just name it something like that, if you weren't going to keep the naming convention of numbers that you completely messed up because you did the 360 and then the Xbox One. Well, the Xbox One, because it's the one for all, like the whole gaming, like it's the one gaming system for all. It does everything. And it's like, that's stupid. Just name yourself cool.
Yes.
Don't you know who your audience is? Just name it something that sounds cool and dumb.
Your competition isn't hard either. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. Like that should not be a hard thing to beat, and yet you failed miserably twice.
Yeah. It's incredible. The Series S and the Series X. It's like, okay, whatever you're doing, man. But all of these are decisions and ideas that were done under the helm of Phil Spencer. And that's kind of the weird thing, is that when you look at what can Asha Sharma do taking over from Phil Spencer, I think we kind of have a tendency to want to eulogize people in certain ways, whether it's like actual life or death, or if they're leaving a position that we know they've been in for a while. And I think there is a concern of like, well, we don't know what she'll be able to do. I mean, I mentioned earlier that Phil Spencer's like tenure seemed like it started with a lot of promise and then kind of dwindled fairly quickly. I mean, what's the thing that she needs to do for us to be like, oh man, she finally caught up to Phil Spencer? Because if I'm looking at what Phil Spencer's been doing there the whole time, he's been buying game companies and not knowing how to monetize them for long-term strategies. And he's been naming this freaking system Series X's and Series S's and all this others. So I don't know what else. I don't know what else you want, right? I think she's in a good position. She's taking this over, right? This whole thing is going on with Microsoft and AI and Xbox and different stuff like that. But we also know, and I believe like Sarah Bonner and all them were talking about this, they have a console in development. And it seems like what they want to do is they want to double down on the idea that like, no, Xbox consoles still mean something. Having an Xbox still means something. She's in a perfect position to prove for people that are doubting or are curious about what she can do with Xbox. She's in the best position to prove it, because she's got within the next 2 to 3 years a new console launching. That's the perfect proving ground. How you ramp up from here to the release of it demonstrates a lot, right?
Exactly. Because the big changes, like if the name, even just the smallest thing, the name being cooler, better, like whatever, and then maybe like a better like launch title, and maybe the consoles themselves are better, and we don't have this small hard drive fiesta that we have every single time a new system is launched. Like she's picking this up in a very good spot because they're just kind of down in the dirt.
Yes.
It's not going to be hard to dig Xbox deeper into a hole, but it's also going to be very easy to climb out of it. It's not that deep.
Yeah, I think so. I think that Xbox, I do think that Xbox is at a low point. And I think if she does a perfect execution of this, I don't know how well it raises Xbox up from where they are. Because they've allowed Phil Spencer to kind of do a bunch of moves. He's been doing a lot, but it
Hmm.
hasn't really resulted in any mobility, really. But she isn't in a position where she can do things that kind of submit her understanding of, oh, she gets it. She understands what the Xbox division needs, what Xbox needs. She understands what people who have faith and belief and have invested in the Xbox ecosystem, what they want. She understands what her composition is doing to deliver. She understands their weaknesses. And she understands how to work with their first party devs and work with other third party devs, possibly strengthen. Again, we've talked about for years that Xbox struggles to develop relationships with Japanese developers. Maybe that there's some kind of thing that can happen there to build a better ecosystem for this gaming company that she's now taking over, that has been decades in this game, so
Yeah.
she's in a really good position to prove herself to those who doubt. Not saying she wants to or that she technically really has to, but she kind of has to for the sake of the company. How people
Right.
perceive and respect her ability to usher and move Xbox is going to, in fact, immediately impact how people perceive and respect Xbox, the brand itself, because that's where it's at. Um,
Exactly.
where with other companies like Sony and Nintendo, except for very few individuals, the brand supersedes the individual. Xbox, the brand has been damaged so much that if the individual is able to elevate themselves, it elevates the brand immediately with them. And so
Hmm.
she's in a perfect position to do that. It's just a matter of if she'll be able to, you know, if she has enough time, and if that's something that Xbox is or Microsoft is allowing her to do, or is the co-founder right? They're planning on sunsetting it, and in 2-3 years, it's going to look completely different because they're going to start selling off parts, and they're going to start downsizing, and they're going to start becoming more of a possible just a publisher platform rather than an actual place where you buy a console, an actual platform. Um,
Yeah,
time will
I
tell.
honestly, yeah, it could go either way, and honestly, I see it going the worst way. And even if that's not all her doing,
Mhm.
just because she's the CEO, like we everyone knows that means something, but it doesn't mean everything.
Yeah.
So, like, if a bunch of AI is starting to get thrown into everything, is it all her fault, or is it people that are even higher up?
Here's the thing, it's probably people higher up,
That's what I'm thinking.
but that's why Microsoft
But
puts the executive of their core AI division in the seat there, so they can
exactly.
put that there and say, "Oh,
Hey,
look,
look, you're
look what
really good at this.
happened! Look
You're
what
really good at
happened as soon
this.
as AI started showing up in your games. Guess who took over it? Wasn't our fault. We didn't do it. Poor little Microsoft didn't have anything to do with this. It's the AI lady that we trusted to bring back the core of gaming. Okay, to bring back the essence of gaming. She's the one that took the AI ideas with her and brought them here, right? Um, it's almost it's the perfect lineup of essentially, like, if you want to say, if we're talking about this being a ruse and this
Right, like
being
a
a scam,
scapegoat.
she's the perfect scapegoat for it.
Exactly.
You know,
So she
um,
might not even have a good start to begin with, because it could
right,
be just like you said, a ruse.
right. Yeah, I mean, and I've read some there, Xbox and Microsoft has a lot of weird expectations of Xbox. I think, like, wanting to maintain like 30% profit margins on like every single service or product. And a bunch of other things. And there's like a lot of, I was doing some research and readings, like some things wrote by people that were contractors or worked for Xbox on certain things about just the level of bureaucracy there that just kind of slows innovation and trying to make
Mhm.
any type of decisions. If
Yep.
anybody's worked in like a big company organization type corporate situation environment like that, you know exactly what they're talking about. Where very simple, nimble ideas get slow to like exponential degrees because it's got to get approved by this manager, then that manager's manager, then that manager's manager, then the vice president, then the regional vice president, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
and all these people are layers and layers and layers and layers removed from reality on the floor, right? I think the perfect example of that is Highguard has imploded, and one of the things that they talked about was that one of the developers kind of wrote essentially their feelings, our article and their feelings and stuff. And in that article, they did what a lot of developers are doing nowadays, which is basically blame the gamers for their game not making it. But one of the things they talked about, it's a really weird thing. But one of the things they
Uh,
talked about was the fact that they got so much good feedback internally and also with other people that they contracted with and consulted with. And then they show the trailer at the Game Awards, and the internet seemed to pretty much in unison say this ain't it. And it's trying to mitigate, well, how can you on this end get feedback saying this is the next big hit? This is the next Apex.
see,
And then
that's
and
the
then
problem when you work with a
everyone
bunch of brown nosers.
right? A bunch of people who are just trying to be yes people, a bunch of people who are not attached to reality. They don't know what people really want because they're in this kind of consultant class that's just detached, that relies on a lot of things that don't really speak to what people are actually feeling. And you as a company, and I would say even as a developer, it was a little bit kind of unfortunate in that article where it seemed like that developer didn't really understand or know how to go about reconciling these dramatic differences. How could we have such one perception informed by this? And my perception was informed by the positivity because I don't believe going into it. Obviously, whenever you work on something, you believe in it. But to go by this is going to be a hit, and then you see universally everyone say, "Ah, this looks like it sucks." How do you, as a person, marry those experiences? It's hard, but I think it's necessary because do you want to be successful or do you want to be right? Right? And sometimes those things
Right.
aren't the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, and I think like sometimes I feel like Xbox is like that too. Redfall was a perfect example of that. You remember when they talked about their internal testing, they had thought that Metacritic wise, it was going to land somewhere in the sevens, and it comes out and it's a literal dumpster fire. Like they put the game out, and I think most dumpsters literally just spontaneously combusted because it was such a dumpster fire. How do you marry those such two different realities, you know? I think that's an
Yeah,
emerging issue that's happening in gaming in general, but I think Xbox exemplifies that the most. Because I think that whole approach has totally impacted the company along with all the other issues they have, you know. Um,
I do.
it's a crazy, crazy thing. But I mean, hey, Phil Spencer, Godspeed. Maybe you retire, you just enjoy your family, enjoy your life. I mean, you've made a bag and a half, bro. Just go live. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe you're like, I've reinvigorated. I found a new passion. I'm gonna find a game called Peace Spent Studios, and we're gonna we're gonna make we're gonna make a little indie game about doing something something, and it makes a bunch of money. Maybe that's something you do, you know. um yeah,
Might be behind a good game for once.
I know, right? I mean, I'm listening to some of these other code names: Xenon, Durango, Scorpio,
Ooh,
Anaconda,
Xenon,
Lockhart.
the 21st century. Do you remember those movies?
Yeah, yeah, those
First
are
one, first one was amazing. The second one
yeah.
was like, yeah, okay, I get it. The third one was like, no, no, what happened here? No.
No, no, thank you. Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh man. Oh yeah, I can't remember what movie it was. I went to the theater to see it, and I remember I was maybe like 15 or 20 minutes into it, and I didn't say it out loud. I don't think I did. I think I just said it in my mind, but I said no, thank you, and I got up and left. Uh, Sometimes it just hits you like
Uh,
that. It's visceral.
yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's our thoughts on this news about Xbox and their current state. I think that we're not trying to like gang up on them or anything like that. I don't think that's what we're just trying to we're offering some honest opinions and thoughts on it. And
Yeah, I mean, we're both sides of it and everything. We're not
yeah,
automatically blaming her. We're not automatically saying it's going to be atrocious.
yeah, I think
It's
it's unfair.
up
I
in
think
the
it's
air.
unfair. I think it's unfair to say that, oh, this is a sign of disaster. Most of the time when
Right.
stuff like this happens, it typically doesn't go well, but things change can always happen. And sometimes it might be the perfect move is that he needs to step down because he just doesn't have it in him anymore. He's been doing this for years, or he just doesn't have a vision that works. And she walks in with a different perspective that actually fits what people needs, and things click and they start running again, right? That is, I think, as well, I don't think it's as likely a possibility. I think the more likely possibility is that they crash and burn. But I would think that for any company, not just Xbox. Um, but but there is also that possibility. So I think like saying, "Oh, this is it," like give her a chance. She just got there. Who cares if she doesn't have an Xbox gaming profile? Like, just be cool for a minute. Let's see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all. Because Major Nelson had an Xbox gaming profile, and we saw what happened there. So
Yeah.
just be cool for a second and let's figure it out, or let
Yeah.
them figure it out.
Let her get a sense of the situation. Like
Exactly.
I know it's completely not the same, but I've only had 3 jobs. And of the 3 jobs, I had absolutely no clue, no knowledge of anything of what to do there.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I like rose as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at Chicken Shack and I was registered, but I was one of the best registered. Was t- I was the one being pushed around to do everything because I did it correctly.
Yeah.
And then, like the job I have now, like I had no idea these machines existed to now I run the shop. I'm a supervisor. I set up the machines and all that stuff, So she has some knowledge. She's worked with companies before. She was a COO of another one and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like she's stepping in blind. It's just the type of industry that it is. It's for the gaming part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's also the kind of jump on something else you just said there. Like, she's not jumping into it blind, and that she's not part of this Xbox culture. Well, how do we, based on decisions and things we're seeing, how do we know Xbox culture is good? Maybe it's good that she's not part of that culture, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
that might allow her to do and think about things differently that actually improve it and allow for some things to happen. Maybe she relieves or removes layers of bureaucracy or try to find a different way to problem solve and introduce solutions. And that helps the company, right?
Right.
I don't, I don't think this whole like kind of idea of like, it's very blue bloody. Like this idea of legacy, you had to be in gaming for 20, 30 years before you helm. Well, why?
It's yeah.
Why?
You
Especially
know,
if someone's been in gaming for 20 years as an idiot, why do I want them to still be there?
exactly.
You know?
Her not being from Xbox, maybe she's gonna think outside the Xbox.
There you go. There you go. That's what all this was. That's what we were waiting for. That's what all this is for. That's what
I
all of
needed
this was
it. I
for.
needed it. There it was.
Yes. Um, man, I would even want to. I would love to name this episode "Thinking Outside the Xbox." I don't know how the SEO and algorithm would treat it, but uh, I said let's go for it. Let's actually go
We could
for it.
see it. We could see.
Yeah. Let's go for it. But I guess we kind of wrapping up that discussion with pretty much doesn't look good, but maybe.
Yeah,
If if you
the
want to
hope
TLDR
is
it,
there, but we see the fire coming.
yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, there's hope there. That's a perfect TLDR. There's hope, but there's also fire. Yeah. Um, that means that we're near the end of the level, which means it's time for final thoughts, where we can offer a thought about something that's related or unrelated to the podcast episode. So, who wants to offer a final thought first?
I'll go first.
All right.
All right. So as we all know, I'm trying to offload like all of my Pokemon and stuff, trying to make that dough off of it. But I
Mhm.
also decided I don't want to just like leave it entirely. So I thought to myself, I want to get a master set of a Pokemon in like PSA 10s or CGC Pristines or Beckett Black labels, best of the best, right? So I decided I would do that. And one of the newer Pokemon that I've been fond of doesn't have a lot of cards, so it's going to
Yeah.
definitely be on the cheaper side, but a PSA 10 for one of them is $400. So it's not an easy like, ooh, shoe in. Let me throw 400 and I have the entire thing. No, not
Yeah.
at all, not even close. So the Pokemon I chose, I have one card bought already. People laugh at the name. His name or her whatever, their name is Guzzlord. I know there's a shine on it, but it's the black
Nice.
one, the black and yellow one in the back.
Yeah.
So this one is a tag team card that came out in like 2019 and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Guzzlord and Nadell. I don't even know who that one is, but
Yeah.
I love Guzzlord for some reason. I saw him in Pokemon Go, and then I use him a lot in Pokemon Pocket.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? It's not a Charizard. I'm not going to have to spend $1 million to collect every single one.
Right.
So I think this is a good one.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's my final thought.
Nice. Nice. You're not leaving it completely. For a second there, I thought you were going to say what would have been funny is that, you're like, I'm getting rid of them, but I don't want to leave Pokemon completely. So what I've decided to do is I've opened up a charitable Pokemon wildlife preserve. And and I just imagined there's just being a wildlife preserve of just Pokemon walking around, or possibly just Pokemon cards that are like, you imagine a fox with a Pokemon card on its face, is just walking around. And look at that. There's a Clefairy in the wild. You know what I'm saying? You just support it.
That's
Uh,
genius.
I know, right? Let's see here. My final thought. What is my final thought? I just had something here. We're committed to making art. Oh, yeah, that's the other article I was looking for. Let's talk about the Xbox thing. So it's great that I found it now. My
Perfect timing.
my final thought is that, speaking of Xbox, there has been some whispers about them possibly exploring other ways of, I think, either upping. So what they're trying to do right now is, I think they're trying to find ways to, group the Xbox console, basically Xbox Ultimate, and the PC version. Like, I think they're trying to delete the PC only version. So where you just have to, if you want to play any games on your PC, you have to get Ultimate. So,
That's
you
kind of
know,
lame.
I know, because the PC only version is like $16 and Ultimate's 30. So it feels like that's kind of what they're trying to do. So there's been whispers of them exploring, like, well, if we add this feature or that feature or this thing, then that would kind of, it would prove value for upping the price or restricting access.
Mhm.
Which to me shows they learned nothing from when they did that to,
What?
Xbox Ultimate last year, when they raised it by 50%. And I said, but
Hmm.
you get access to Ubisoft Plus, and you get access to Fortnite stuff. And
No one
everyone's like,
cares.
we don't play any of that. We don't want any of that. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want my gaming subscription service to be over $300 a year. Do you understand that? Um, and
Insane.
so it appears their response is, no, we don't understand that. So that's a final thought. It's a little concerning there, but we'll have to see if that actually comes to fruition and what happens there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that means we're
Oh,
at the end of level 155 of the Final Thoughts podcast, or not Final Thoughts, of the Thoughts and Players podcast. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, share the podcast on your preferred podcast platform and on the socials. We're on the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikToks, and all of that. And then, of course, we're on YouTube where we upload a video version of our podcast every week. If you want to support us, there's a couple ways you can do that. One, buy merch at our Teespring store. Link is always included in the social posts, hats, shirts, all that stuff, phone cases. We also have a Patreon, $2 a month. Is a special thanks credit on the end of our video episodes, as well as access to our Patreon feed where we upload Q&As and polls and different things like that. That is it for me. David, was there anything else you wanted to add?
Peace.
Alrighty, well, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next level.